Hello again. I'm Henry T, and today we have a great big thrill for all of you throughout the state. Great friend of mine is going to join me, and he's a friend of yours. And if you have a kid anywhere around the house or the block or down the street or an athlete somewhere, this man has touched his life with his big heart, his generosity. And now, he's done so many things. Yeah, he's a great businessman, state farm agent, but he was a great player at Siebel, a great coach. He's been a broadcaster for Henry T. at all thousands of games. And now Marty Saiz is a writer. Yes, an author. And I tell you what, he's coming on strong to touch everybody's heart. I bet this is no exaggeration. He will touch every family in New Mexico with his effort today because you know how big the sport of basketball is in New Mexico. There's a hoop in every yard throughout the state. And think of the thousands of men and young women who have played the game. And if they played the game suited up, been in a scorebook, more than likely they're going to make Marty's book. And it's so exciting. Even Henry T might be in there somewhere. So I'm going to buy it for that reason. Nah, probably not. Marty doesn't like me that much. But I mean it. He's going to touch every family in New Mexico. What a pleasure to bring on my longtime friend, the one and only Marty Saiz. Good morning, Marty. How are you?
How you doing, Henry?
I'm great, man. Congratulations on your recent achievement.
Well, I'm working on it. I haven't quite finished the book yet. I'm hoping to get it printed up by April, but I'm hoping to launch a New Mexico high school basketball website that'll be the platform where I can sell the book, and then with a couple other basketball historians, we can put all our research that we've done over the years. I think everybody know. Some people may not know Chuck Ferris. He's probably the basketball historian in New Mexico. Probably been researching high school basketball. He's got articles and state programs back to the 40s, and he's had a website for many years, and so we're partnering up. And a guy named Rick Shedd from Hobbs, who's kind of the historian for Hobbs basketball, wrote Hobbs by the Numbers book, and he's going to be partnering up with us. And Steve Flores, who wrote the Ghost Town Gym book about 15 years ago. He's got boxes of research on all the high schools that got closed, like Our Lady of Sorrows, or a lot of the Catholic schools. There's like 80 high schools that are no longer around, such as Wheatland or Forest High School, and so we're hoping the platform on the website will be a great place for people to watch games and see a lot of the research, and then the book, like I said, will give the stories and a lot of the statistical information. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's been a fun project. It's a real time-consuming project. I've been working on this since December of 2012, and so I'm hoping that we can get this all finished up.
Marty, what gave you the inclination that this would be popular? What gave you the original idea to pursue such a massive, inventive job?
Well, Henry, I think I started December 2012. I'd been running an AU program, and I had two special players, Bryce Alford and Cullen Neal, and I just kind of was curious where they stood in the state records. And I looked up, and their name wasn't anywhere. And so I called my good friend Frank Castillo and Roy Sanchez, and it was toward the end, right before Christmas, and they both sent me all the material they had on the two players. I called the parents and realized that these two had a chance to break a lot of records. And so for the first probably 3 or 4 years, it was about state records. As I started researching, I realized that a lot of the state records weren't updated. no fault to the New Mexico Activity Association, just a lot of high school coaches or athletic directors never turned it in over the years. And so, and then it was a guy named Ben Moffitt, who was a former Albuquerque Journal writer. He started a group on Facebook called New Mexico Basketball History, New Mexico. And I used to post all my findings. And one day, I think it was around 2017, he says, "How much stuff do you have?" And I looked at my folder and I said, "Oh, I got about 3,000 articles that I've, different categories." And he goes, "Why don't you write some books?" And in fact, he goes, "I'm writing a book on the history of basketball, but I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it, Marty. I'm battling cancer." And so that's my only regret in this whole project, that I never got to meet Ben Moffitt in person. We talked numerous times. And so after talking to him back in 2017, he convinced me to write 4 books, one on coaches, one on big men, one on playmakers, and one on scores. And so I was going to write 4 small books based on the statistical thing, adds to stories. And then he introduced me to Chuck Ferris. And with Chuck, we had the idea of scanning all the state programs from 1945 to 2017. I took the programs, and thanks to the New Mexico Activity Association and Chuck for getting me the programs. I went camping for like 6 or 7 days and realized there was a lot of stories that people don't know about. And so I owe a lot to Ben Moffitt in inspiring me. And then my mom died in 2017, and so I didn't mess with it. I didn't touch it. In fact, I didn't touch it until here in February. I had a person call me about some photos back in 2004, because if I wasn't helping Henry on the broadcasting booth, I was under the basket taking photos over those last 20 years. And I found the photo, and I started looking at all these photos I had. I said, man, I wish I could just give these to people, and do something. And then I said, you know what? In January of 2020, I decided no longer, after 21 years, no longer to do AU basketball. And so my only option here in the spring, instead of doing AU basketball, was going to be cleaning the yard and washing dishes and cleaning the house. And I said, man, I got to find something to do. So I said, you know what, I'll start with a book. And so Facebook has been kind of a good testing ground. And after about a few weeks in April, I decided, you know what, I'm going to write one history book on the history of New Mexico basketball. And then in the middle of June, I'm real fortunate to have Dana Childs, a camera guy for ProViews. He helped me with the Jim Holzman interview the year before, because that's what I was going to start a book on coaches. And so Dana and I, from mid-June to mid-November, traveled the whole state. I think we were at 70 high school gyms, did over 300 interviews. And then the only part of the state I didn't get to was the Farmington, Kirtland Central, and Shiprock area, which I ended up doing a lot of Zoom interviews, a lot of the people up there. But I also came to realize I can't do just one book. There's just so many stories that have come up, and all the interviews will be on the website over time, so people get to see a lot of the great stories that Dana and I got to hear about high school basketball. So it's been a long journey, Henry, and so I'm trying to finish it up. I met with GoDaddy this morning. So we're just about 80% done with the website. And then I said, that website will be a continuous project over time.
Wow. Well, fundamentally, as basic as you can get, what does basketball mean to the state of New Mexico, to the families of New Mexico, to every quadrant of our state?
Well, my first title was going to be More Than a Game. Basketball was more than a game. Unfortunately, Phil Jackson, Chicago Bulls coach and Laker coach, already wrote a book on more than a game. But no matter who you talk to, from somebody in their 90s to somebody in their teens, it was more than just a game. It was it just to love the game, and even if you were rivals after your career, you see people 20, 30 years, even through Facebook, you've seen the kind of the synergy that's developed because of it. And so You know, especially in some of these small communities, basketball is a heartbeat of these communities, and sports is a heartbeat of these communities, and that's why, with the COVID and school's not playing. Actually, it's maybe helped me get more attention because there's nothing else going on.
You know, being a player back in the day, coaching just a little bit, being a referee, being a radio and television broadcaster, and being so close to the game throughout my life, I know how significant it is to me, and having a son who excelled at the game as well. Man, there's so much of the game that's been in my life, and it's all been thrilling, and it's all had an impact. I mean, a tremendous impact on me and my son, and then doing the games on radio and TV, and the radio with you. You and I did, gosh, several thousand games together, and the game grew as a part of my bloodstream, and the excitement, the passion kids brought with them to the floor, the coaches, the big crowds. I mean, you and I inherited, or we created, or the both coming together. We helped promote the game, but the game helped promote us. And the passion I learned working with you, these exciting games, and the crowds were big back in the day. That really helped me. And your passion, though, your excitement coming to the floor, and then you became a pretty good broadcaster yourself. And I just say, Marty, you got this game, take over the game. I mean, all of that was just the beginning of what you were thinking. But already throughout the state, this has been a huge event. Basketball. I got to witness the Mighty Midgets and Sandia at Johnson Gym. And my neighbor, Jimmy Papan, hit the winning shot. And that's only one story. What have you inherited? What kind of diamond in the rough out there kind of a story have you found?
Well, like I said, a lot of statistical stuff, and probably two people that have kind of inspired me to share the story. One is Herman Gallegos comes to mind. Herman played in the late mid 50s. He graduated in 1956 from Pecos High School, and when I was that summer, I was looking through programs. I came across a program in 1955. And it was the whole page was an article on a junior guy named Herman Gallegos from Pecos, and his team didn't make the state tournament that year, but they wrote an article because he was the first guy to score 600 points in a season. In fact, he ended up being the first guy to score 700 points. And then through my research, he's the first guy that I could find that hit 40 points in a game, and then he had 56 points a game, and it had every one of his games listed there. But I look at all the programs, I don't remember seeing through all the programs an article on a specific player that's currently playing. And the sad part is his 56 points would be a top 10 record today in the record books, and his name has never appeared in anything. And in fact, when I interviewed him in Pecos, he didn't even know the program existed. He had never seen that article. So I brought him the article, and it was kind of neat when we went to Pecos, and Pecos has been really successful the last 4 years, winning 4 state titles under my good friend Ira Harge and Junior, and so I asked the kids, like, who's the top scorer in a game here in Pecos, and a lot of and there were some guys from the 70s and 80s that I was interviewing, and they named all these guys, but they didn't name Herman Gallegos, and I had to point out, I said, it's Mr. Gallegos, and Herman Gallegos had been a basketball official for like 30, 40 years up in the north. And so everybody thought of him as a basketball official. And then I asked them, who's the leading scorer in the season for Pecos? And they named all these guys. And I said, no, it's Herman Gallegos. And what's kind of interesting was they didn't have a gym until his last 6 games of his senior year. They had to practice outside. and then they had to go to Santa Fe to play their home games at one of the schools in Santa Fe because they had no high school gym. And so his last 6 games of his senior year, he finally got to play in the new gym and stuff. And so just imagine how cold it is in Pecos in the winter to practice and shovel snow. So see, he was the big inspiration. And the other one was Alfred Romero Jr. from Waggaman. We discovered that senior year of Bryce Alford got a call from the guy in Bosque Farm, says, the guy Bryce is chasing for the career record isn't the right guy, and I can prove it. And so he came to my office, brought all these scoreboard books from 8th grade to 12th grade, and we added them up, and sure enough, he had more points than Isaac Benaramo from Kagerman. And so as a result, I said, you got to go to the NMA and let them know. And to me, the sad part is he broke that record in 1977, and nobody realized it until 2013. And in fact, when we went and interviewed Alfred last summer up on the gym, they retired his jersey, and it was December of 2013. It took him 36 years to find out. So those are still hopefully some stories I'll be able to share in the book. I think the other story was really powerful for me was the development of Hobbs basketball under Ralph Tasker, and how integration and Booker T. Washington and the decision in 1954. Booker T. Washington was an all-black high school in Hobbs. There was no blacks on the Hobbs teams up until 1954, and they were fortunate to get Ray Clay and a guy named Bill Bridges to come to transfer to Hobbs because they shut down Booker T. Washington, and then how the press started. So those will be some of the stories that I'll be sharing in the book.
My goodness, you've had nothing but cooperation all over the state with your venture. What's it been like? People hearing about it and they go, wow, that's big. And I think immediately, why hasn't it been done before? It takes the aggressive, innovative, full of energy Marty Saiz to finally get this thing rolling. And you mentioned some great people ahead of you. And too bad they didn't get to where you're going. But how much of a job, how much work has it been, and how much work is remaining for you to complete this dream?
I lost track of time. I've probably spent 1,000 hours doing this stuff. I mean, Dana and I travel the state there pretty much every weekend. There was days we wake up at 7 in the morning and I get back to 11:30 that night. There was probably 4 or 5 weekends. We went on Friday, Saturday. We went down to Clovis. We spent the night. Went down to Portales, Levington. Went to Hobbs. Made the trip down to Alamogordo, Tularosa. Spent the night in Cruces. Went to Deming, Lordsburg, Silver City. Spent the night there, then went to Cliff and Camado. So we pretty much have gone all over the state, Henry. And what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to say, oh, this is all about Albuquerque schools, or it's just about the big schools, or it's not about the North. So I pretty much every quadrant of the state will be touched.
How is your book being received? How is the idea and what you've hinted what it's going to include? How is this whole thing being received by the basketball fans or sports fans in New Mexico?
Well, I think it's, I can only measure what's happened on Facebook. I've gotten a really good response, and it's been kind of helping me motivate to get this book done. And so, I'll find out when we do the book sales, how well it went.
No,
but I'm encouraged.
Right now, let the cat out of the bag. You have a feeling right now how it's been received. Come on.
Henry, I really don't. Oops. I lost.
There's your.
Oh, there's the cover. Yeah. And so I have no idea. This is my first venture writing any book. And so I have no idea. I just have faith that it'll be successful because one of my goals is to the net proceeds is to continue funding scholarships for our New Mexico senior athletes and raising money from my good friend Gene Pino and ALS, and so we created the Austin Denton Scholarship for high school students that hopefully want to get into broadcasting. I created the Alvin Metter Scholarship, created a scholarship after my parents. So I'm hoping, and then we're going to have a subscription on the website, and so hopefully the subscription will help us pay some, individuals to come work. I just hired Anthony Chavez, Jr., the great star from LA High School. He's going to be working in my office doing some State Farm, and he'll be doing some helping me with the website and scanning all this research I have. I thank my wife and my family for their patience and stuff. And so, it was my wife's kind of incentive to kind of do the website. I was talking to somebody back in November, and this is kind of the draft right now. What the website will look like. And, I was talking to somebody, and I said, man, I got like 500,000 photos and 30,000 articles, 300 interviews. And after the cost, you said, what's the big deal? Only you can see it. So that's where the website came into play. And so it'll have photo galleries, videos, the game of the month. I've got a lot of corporate sponsors coming up. And so, this is just the homepage. There'll be a lot of data and records. All our stat clubs will be on there, and so I have a little photo gallery just to tease people on there, and then some books besides my books will be available to the public, and it'll be on boys and girls basketball. So there's a picture of Chuck Ferris and myself there, and you can see Chuck. He's been a lot of help and with all the research he's done. Coach Jim Holzman's been a real awesome too with a lot of the research he's done over the years. And so, it's if you can touch the little picture where Alvin Metters is, hit the other one right below that. There's Ben Moffitt. If you click on that picture, so. Hopefully it's going to be an exciting new website, and hopefully the book will just add more value to it.
Wow. Amazing. Well, I can hardly wait to read it. How soon can we buy a subscription to it?
Well, like I said, I'm hoping, I've been working with GoDaddy since mid-December. I just gave him this morning my 6th draft. I probably have 2 other major drafts. I'm hoping by mid next week I can release the site, and then my hope is by the end of February start taking pre-orders for the book, because that'll help me determine the number of books. Because the more books I'm able to print, the lower I can make the price and stuff. And so it's going to be a really nice. Laminated. I have a sample of a UNM one. This is UNM, but it's going to be really hard cover, laminated with pictures. And this is, like I said, this is a UNM one, but and then it'll be full of pictures and colored pictures. And I want this to be a collectible item for anybody that enjoys being part of high school basketball here in New Mexico.
This is unfair question, but how many names will be in that book?
I have no idea, Henry. I think the fun part for me was the stat club, and so I've got like 390 games that somebody scored 40 points or more. I've got rebounding clubs, free throw, 15 free throws or more, and so hopefully the clubs will bring a lot of, look for their name and some of the big games that occurred. But one of the things I'm going to focus on is the most accomplished players. Just like the cover, somebody asked me, if you put the cover back up, I can, I wanted to avoid who the best were. That's an item to be debated. And so I worked on the most accomplishments, and to me, the most accomplished person
Let's
in my research.
Put that cover back up.
Yeah, so the most accomplished person in my mind ever in high school basketball is Ralph Tasker. I don't think anybody has impacted New Mexico high school basketball. Coach for 53 years. He ranks fifth nationally, and what he did with integration and basketball, for Hobbs. So I have a picture of Coach Ralph Tasker. I have a picture of Bryce Alford. That's the picture I took when there was a record he passed. It was 50 years. My good friend Nick Pino. Nick had 1,033 points, and right before that shot, Bryce had 1,032. So that was the shot that passed Nick Pino, and so that was the reason. Then my good friends down south, Pete and Brian Schock and Pete's dad Dale. They've coached for almost 100 years to high school basketball. There's no family that has even come close to them. And then to me, the most accomplished player in the history of New Mexico basketball, not only in high school and college, but professionally, is the guy, number 32 in the lower corner, Bill Bridges. Bill won 2 state titles at Hobbs High School, went on to play at the University of Kansas. His jersey's retired at the University of Kansas. We just recently named him in the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame. And the big thing, too, is every year they give out the Bill Bridges top rebounder at the University of Kansas. And they've had some great big men, including Will Chamberlain and so forth. And so I wanted to be the accomplishments. The back cover will have probably the most accomplished player in New Mexico basketball history. And I didn't know him. I've done showcases for the last 15 years of top players from 8th grade to 12th grade. But the most accomplished player in my mind is A.J. Lackey from Camado High School, who just graduated in 2019. He is currently the all-time scorer, all-time rebounder, and all-time in assist in New Mexico basketball history. And until I started doing this book, I had no idea who A.J. Lackey was. And I think his story was powerful. Never been to Camado, really nice, humble student athlete, and got to interview him. And what was kind of neat is his uncle, Kevin, is the head coach at Melrose. And his uncle's team, Melrose, beat Camado, AJ's senior and junior year in the semifinals and prevented them to winning a state title. But it was his uncle told his brother, who's the head coach at Camado, that, hey, why don't you look at AJ's stats? He's been playing since 8th grade and had some successful years, and his brothers started adding them all up, and they realized, sent it to the NMA, not knowing that AJ was all-time in each of these 3 categories. And so to me, that was pretty special because he just played. He just played the game, and to see his accomplishments. So he wasn't chasing any records or like Bryce was or anything like that. He just played. And so I think that was kind of a really nice, powerful story. A.J. Lackey, I think people will enjoy.
What have you learned about the evolution of the mechanics of the game, the skills of the game, and how they started way back when, some of the names you originated there, and up to the present? From what you have seen on tape, with what you know of stats, and what you've seen with your own going to the gym, buying a ticket, or the games that you and I broadcast, how has the evolution of the game changed from the physical mechanics?
Well, let me put it this.
Greater athlete.
Let me put it this, Henry. I think I'd like to focus maybe on the evolution of the rules that have really changed. Like, for example, the first 8 years, there was no dribbling. So the dribbling changed the game. Up until 1937, every time you made a basket, you had a jump ball at center court. So that changed the game. There was no overtime. There was sudden deaths up until the mid-50s. To me, the biggest change is the stopping of the clock after every turnover. So when somebody traveled, the players used to bring the ball in and the clock used to run. So the only time the clock would stop up until 1963 was timeouts and at the halftime. It's the only time the clock stopped. So So somebody scoring 50-some points or in the 50s is amazing because there was less time. So in 1963, they now, after traveling, the ref hands you the ball, marks it. So it kind of slowed the game down and gave players more playing time. And so from that point on is when you started seeing teams score 100 plus games. I mean, if you look at the year 63, 64, the teams like Espanola and Hobbs and Roswell, they were scoring 100, 110, 120 points, which was unheard of prior to that year. I mean, rarely did you ever see a Hobbs team score 100 points prior to that. So I think that was the biggest rule change. And the other rule change that people talk about is the three-point shot. And I think the three-point shot has actually lowered scoring and not increased it. You see very few 40-point games after that. Hobbs had, 12, 13 seasons where they scored 100 points, but never after the three-point line. And so now as far as the game going, it's developed from an inside game to an outside game, with a three-point line. The athletes today probably play more at a younger age, and so they're a little bit more skilled today. But you get a player like a Jeff Taylor Jr. or an Adam Beadle or Michael Romero or those type of players, Larry Robinson, Ron Padrell. Those players could play today. And I think if they had the opportunities that players today do, they would just be up there just as they were in their times.
So much has been said about Ralph Tasker and his contribution to the game, fast break, 100-point games, and his great teams. And they wear the T-shirt long. I mean, there's so much tradition over there. You talk about Northern basketball, how unique it is. And Coach Abreu up in Peñasco and Mora and Cimarron and all those teams. Man, when they get together up north, you got to get to the C team game to be able to watch the varsity. I mean, the game is so popular everywhere. What can you add to that?
Well, it's been kind of fun to realize, I knew about the North. If you looked at the book, in the middle of the cover is a basketball on that Zia. And there's a significance to that basketball because my dad played at El Rito High School. And that's a basketball that El Rito High School got in 1955. And it's got laces, if you noticed it. And so that's kind of my tie to the history. But I mean, I went to Logan and Melrose and Lordsburg and Cliff. And, they packed the gyms there too. And so, basketball, no matter where you're in New Mexico, was fun. I mean, the big towns, everywhere you go, it's been, like I said, a fun journey for me. If somebody said, man, that's a lot of work. Me and Dana had a lot of fun traveling the state and listening to stories. And it was real time consuming and you get tired, especially an old guy like me, just gets a little tired doing all this stuff. But I've had a blast doing it. There's just not enough time in the day to work on it. I mean, even today, we've been trying to do this interview. My agency has been swamped. I just had my best month in 37 years here in January. We're having our best month ever. We've just been really successful here at the State Farm Agency. I got a great team. So basically, the only time I work on this book is at night or on the weekends. And so, and then with the creation of the website, it's kind of slowed down in the development of the book. So I'm hoping to have the book out printed by early April, mid-April. And hopefully before the state tournament. I guess this year is going to be in May if everything works out well. So it's been a challenge to try to get it done, and but I'm going to work real hard to make it happen.
Hey, look for one record that you and I might be challenging, and that's you and I called 41 games in 7 days at the state tournament. And by the end of the week, I was tired. You were exhausted. We could barely walk up the ramp. We did so many games. Could that be a broadcast basketball record somewhere?
Well, I don't know. I'm still waiting for my paycheck for those 41 games, Henry. I think I gave enough charity, but that was 2009. And in fact, you lost your voice and you gave me the opportunity to do my first play-by-play game was the 5A state title, La Cueva versus Highland. I remember I can't remember who you had help me out in the color. And they had all the rosters. And I said, no, I don't need that. Now Henry says you got to have all this stuff. Trust me, I'm okay. It turned out the starting five top 6-7 guys from La Cueva and the top 6-7 guys from Highland were all playing in our AU club. And at that time, I was the president of the Albuquerque Basketball League. So I'd seen all these kids since they were 8 or 9 years old. The Chad Adams, the Ronnie Daniels, Corey Alford, Justin Griego, Marcos Franco. I knew all these kids. So I said, man, when we get to the 9th or 10th guys on the bench, then I might need those rosters. But I knew this game was going to be a good one. And so you gave me an opportunity to call that game, and I had so much fun. But even more special was the next year. My son Kevin played it. I was a freshman at Cibola. And Coach Alford arranged that they'd allow an opening game at the pit. First time ever they'd ever done that. And it was La Cueva against Cibola. And you said you want to do that game. So I got to do my son's first high school game.
Wow. And I got the thrill of doing my son's games when he was at Sandia. I mean, extra thrilling experiences that we will always cherish, never forget. What more do you have to add? We have about 5 minutes left.
Well, I think one of the things
too. A message. What is it?
Well, I think the state records. I just gave Tyler Dunkel. They've been real cooperative with New Mexico Activities Association. Probably 2 pages of records that are not only state records, that are also national records. And so if you go now to the national records, for example, rebounding, the top 2 teams nationally rebounding per game are 2 New Mexico schools. Carlsbad is the #1 team all time, the 1971 team. They had a couple games where they had 100 rebounds and 101 rebounds in a game. But the other one, #2, because of people giving me stuff, a good friend, Michael Romero, gave me all the stuff they got at their banquets, and I started adding up their rebounds. And Bernalillo High School, 77 team, is ranked #2 all time nationally in rebounds. And so if you go now to the national records, New Mexico is all over the place. And so that to me has been kind of a nice achievement to be able to highlight the accomplishments of our teams and our players over the years.
In our final 2 minutes, give me a rundown of what you want us to leave this show with today.
Well, hopefully next week we'll have the website launched up, get some feedback. I probably won't open up the subscriptions because it's going to take us a little bit to add up some more data and game films and stuff. You mentioned the 1962 Mighty Midget game. That's going to be a game on the website for the subscription people to do. Also, that I just got the 1970 Hobbs team where they scored 170 points, and the 1978 team that scored 176 points. I got their games. I got the 1971 Hobbs versus Albuquerque High State Championship. My good friend Rick Shedd has given me a lot of the Hobbs games over the years. I think there's over 200 games. And then we're going to be scanning a lot of the data that I've gotten. And so I think the website will be great. And then the book will come out. I'll have probably a month of pre-sales. That'll again help me determine how many books to print. I'm working with probably a local printer to do it, check nationwide. And so a lot of things happening, Henry, and I'm just hoping I can get all this stuff done, and then once I get this book done, there'll probably be a second book, and I'll probably travel the state, finish up some of the interviews I couldn't do because of COVID, and hopefully by November have a second book, and then my other future goal is by 2023 have a book on girls basketball. Also, that'll be the 50th anniversary of girls high school basketball.
Okay, Marty. before we go, what if there's somebody out there in our audience right now, whether he or she live in New Mexico or in somewhere else in the country or the world, because we're all over the globe today with this website. What if they know of a record or an event or something regarding New Mexico basketball that's interesting? How can they contact you?
Well, that's the purpose of the website. There'll be a contact page. They'll be able to complete that and send it to me and Chuck and some of the guys that are helping out. So that was the other reason is to get it. But this weekend I'm hoping to interview a guy named Terry Penn to play at Silver City. He lives in Hawaii. I'm hoping to get Larry Williams that lives in North Carolina that played on that 1970 team. I've interviewed people all over the country and like Larry Robinson lives in Sweden, played on that Hobbs team. So if they have anything to share, that's why give me some time to add anything else. And I know once the book comes out, people will say, "Oh, you forgot this. You forgot Henry T on Sportscaster." Just in case I forget you, Henry, I'll make sure you're on the second book, Henry, just in case. So, but again, the website will be out. So if you look at Facebook or I'll probably send out a media release. So check your newspapers for the new website coming out.
Thank you for joining us today. We're going to do it again and again, and we're going to keep promoting this incredible invention. Marty Saiz is a lot of things, and now he's a writer. Great businessman at State Farm. And if somebody wants to call you, hey, everybody needs insurance. Give us your number right now.
Yeah, it's a great time. State Farm has had about a 20% rate decrease on their auto and just a 35% discount on your home. And like I said, right now I've got an awesome team, probably the best team I've ever put together. Got 8 licensed agents. They can call my office at 505-345-3431. Anywhere in the entire state. I just did a big old house in the big town of San Jose, New Mexico, near Las Vegas. One of my biggest clients is in Clayton, New Mexico. In fact, I'm going to be doing an appointment with one of my clients that lives in Silver City here right after this appointment. So, it's a great time. And again, I got an awesome team right now of people that really care about making sure you're not paying any more than you have to, and then make sure you're covered. So, and being with State Farm, it's been a great experience for me for 37 years.
Amen. Wow. He's a lot of things to thousands of people. Give him a call today and patronize his business and find out what kind of man he is. And he's so accessible, ladies and gentlemen. Call my buddy Marty Saiz today, 345-3431. Is that it, Coach?
That should do it for today, Henry. Thank you as always.
All right, buddy. Good luck. Take care.
Thank you. Have an awesome day.
You too. Man, there's one of a kind right there. And thank you to our great sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. Amistoy Drywall, of course. Pierre Amistoy. What a good man. He'll build your home with that incredible drywall. He'll remodel your home. He'll build you a home. And he and his sons out there doing a bang-up job. But Pierre, the former great baseball star at Valley High School and college too, great man. And he's there all the time when we put things on the air. And thank you again, everybody, to Tim Baca and the Hydro Bar. Man, this is a creative man. And what an invention he has to make sure our water is clean and gosh, I mean clean, healthy water. Thank you, Tim Baca. Chuck Jackson, Action Jackson Compaction, and Rax Lumber Company with Richie Tabbett, the former great athlete at Belen High School, and Kevin at the canteen, feeding our schools all that delicious food. Ben Lucero, oh my goodness, Ben Lucero. If you need a mortgage, Indigo Mortgage today. Give him a call. He's with us all the time. And of course, Marty Saiz, State Farm Insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Now we're going to go out to California and we're going to join one of the greatest Aggies of all time and soon to be honored left, right, and up and down. The Aggie Nation is great big. And, you know, on this website, we've been able to do a lot of stories of Aggies, Aggie stars of yesteryear. And he's one of them, one of the most flamboyant, one of the most effective shooters of Aggie basketball history. Here he is, academic All American, played on that Final Four team in 1970. Oh, what a shooter. And he led the league in rebounding and led the league in girlfriends too, I understand. So according to Mrs. Henson. So let's bring on our good buddy, Chito Reyes. How are you, Chito?
How you doing, Henry? Can you hear me?
It's good to see you, man.
Hey, man, come on. You give me a bad rap here.
Hey, Mrs. Henson, you heard her. Led the league in girlfriends. I never heard that before.
You, Henry. Hello there. How are you? Hi to everybody in New Mexico. How are you?
It's good to see you. First thing, I know your mom was really battling hard, and you came to New Mexico to visit her while she was in the hospital, and now she's back home. How's mom?
Yes, you know, it's just an amazing situation with my mother, you know, and it's nothing surprising for us, my brother and my sister and myself, that she overcame quite some kind of difficult situations. And if anybody was going to do that, it was my mom. You know, she was in the hospital, back in, back out. And but she's doing well. She's doing better now. She wants to try it on her own again. You know, she kind of, the people that are supposed to be looking out for her, she kind of tells them, okay, you guys go home. I'm okay, you know. But my mom's a strong lady, you know, love her to death. And it doesn't surprise me that she's overcome some of these difficulties, Henry. Thank you for asking.
You know, I've heard from so many people that loved you as a player. They respected you as a student athlete. They love you as a friendly man. And then you go out and take these big challenges and the principal of a tough neighborhood high school. You're an amazing leader wherever you go. But let's go back and do some fun. What did it mean to you to be a part of that Final Four team for the Aggies and have all of the personal and team acclaim that you received? Number 52. What kind of life has it been for you?
Well, you know, Henry, when you're young and you think you're running like a stallion back then, you realize it's something special, but you don't realize how special it is. And I know I've had some of my teammates. We've got some reunions, and one of the most important things is we realized how blessed we were to be on such a special team. And I don't think it was just because so much talent was there. It just that it was a combination, the perfect element into this perfect idea which Coach Henson blended together. And I think we all chipped in to all being able to for our mutual goals. And I think being able to respect each other and to develop, you know what, Henry, I think Coach Henson instilled the will to develop like a moral character, to be able to be good citizens, to you know, you don't find any of these guys that had trouble in the past. I'm sure we all have little problems, but all these, my teammates all became productive citizens, and they served in their communities, and you look back and there's a reason why that was. You know, somebody instilled that in us. Like you could have, sometimes I've always said this, that it was a blessing that as a 17-year-old kid from Los Angeles coming back into New Mexico, since I was born and raised in New Mexico most of my life, but I attended high school in Los Angeles. And I had opportunities to go to different universities, but Coach Henson came along and offered me a golden opportunity, especially because my grandmother lived there and family lived there. But I mean, to be able to land in a situation, a perfect situation, I guess it turned out for me, it was like a blessing because I landed in good hands, Henry. Think about it. I landed in Coach Henson's hands and some of my teammates like Sam Lacey, Jimmy Collins, Charlie Chris, Jeff, John, and all these guys, that we all were in a situation, like I said, that it became so special. And it became special not just for us, but for the community.
Your close friend, great star, teammate, Jimmy Collins. In fact, he went to heaven not long ago, but he described you as a smooth, complete athlete who executed very few mistakes. You got the big rebound, and he described your jump shot as beautiful. Coming from the great scorer who was an impact player, coming from Jimmy Collins, and he said, Chito had a beautiful shot. What did that mean to you? What a compliment.
Of course, because I look, we all had mutual respect for each other. And I guess you work hard, Henry, not to let your partner down. You know what I'm saying? You go in there and, I've had a lot of people comment about some of our greatest games that we played were against each other in practice because we had some awesome talent and we had some guys that were really to bust their tail to make each other better. And, we never got on each other. We just kind of encouraged each other. And for someone like Jimmy to say something like that, it means a lot because that means that, at least, you contributed to help the team cause. And believe me, these guys were amazing. I would strive not to mess up. You say this about making mistakes. Well, I tell you what, with Coach Henson, if you made a mistake, I mentioned this before. We played like the Lobos, for example. I always use that on the UTEP Miners back then, because basketball back then, Henry, was amazing, and you couldn't buy a ticket. I mean, it was crazy because everywhere people are trying to get these tickets, and you always get all of a sudden you got 200 relatives that want to see if you could get them some tickets to the Lobo game, and that was pretty difficult. But I think when you're playing say for example the Snake Pit in Albuquerque, and we're playing the Lobos, your game plan was and what you're supposed to be doing. But if you made a mistake, or if you felt you knew that maybe you should have blocked out somebody and he got the rebound and scored, you're going to hear one voice. There could be 18,000 people yelling, but there's only one voice that you'll always hear, and that was Coach Henson's voice. Out of all the crowd, you could hear it. And then if you heard the buzzer, you're coming out. But see, that was good, though. I mean, it's not that you take offense, but it was good because you don't want to mess up. And I mean, believe me, these guys were all awesome partners. And for Jimmy and Sam and Charlie, and for Jimmy to say that, that was really a compliment. I really, really appreciate that.
I would love to create a documentary on your life and include the Tough Neighborhood High School, which you were a principal at for several years, right. The educator in you, and the friend. Get a friend and talk about the friendship that he or she had with you, the loyalty you gave to your buddies and friends and teammates. You're a very loved and respected man. And I don't mind telling you that in front of God and everybody, but that's exactly who you are. A loved and respected leader, a loved and respected man who just happens to be one of the greatest New Mexico State Aggies of all time. Congratulations, Chito Reyes.
Thank you, Henry. It means a lot, because I don't think it's just for me, Henry. I think when you get compliments like that, I think it all reflects and they're shared by my family, my mom. My dad passed away, my brother Gilbert, and my sister Norma, my mom Alicia. We if it makes them feel good, it makes you feel good, it makes my neighbors and all these people, because that's what it was for, because it wasn't just an individual accomplishment, it was a team accomplishment. And I take pride out. I'm gonna tell you one little quick story, how you don't realize this, how big it's getting. I mean, you know, you start off and the Aggies and being out in the out in the desert and all this. But I tell you, when I started realizing that there was a big accomplishment, that something was going on, was the first time I walked into the Dairy Queen and our picture was there up at the Dairy Queen. Boy, you hit the big time if your picture was up at the Dairy Queen. That's true. That's big time there. You're the Dairy Queen. You know, but yeah, but it was an honor, Henry, and the people to this day, you know, I I'm really, I'm proud of the fact that my family is proud of that. You guys are, you know, everybody. Like I said, it wasn't an individual accomplishment. It was something that my grandmother, I was mostly raised with her, and I think that's what she always wanted me. And I tell you what, when that first time I got to New Mexico State, she took me aside when my first week at New Mexico State, and she told me, you know, she said, you know, that she was proud of what I was doing. But then again, she said, but I don't want you to ever come tell me how good you are. She said, let other people come tell me, but not that you're a good ball player, but that you're a good man. Because what you tell me doesn't count. Let them come tell me that you're a good man and be good to people, and it'll always come back and reward you. And I mean, to this day, I'm so blessed that I have a lot of friends, a lot of family that, you know, that could still, you know, they're proud of the fact what happened to us. The city of Las Cruces, New Mexico, as a matter of fact. I love, that's my that's my home in New Mexico, and I really, like I feel I'm so blessed, and I thank you. I thank you very much, because you've kind of brought this out again, and I think it kind of rekindled some of our memories, or some of I get comments once in a while on Facebook from people who hear your show, and then they remember those good old days and how good it was for them, that they used to come watch the Aggies back then, and when they were like in the sixth grade, the fourth grade, but it's all blessing, Henry. Thank and I owe you a lot for that, bringing that up again.
You know, Chito, it was always kindling. It's never lost its power. You guys have never lost your popularity. This show just kind of put you out there again, the modern version of Chito Reyes, and here you are, and we're able to talk about it. And I remember so well, big number 52, that beautiful shot, and the baseline was all yours, and the way you dug in and played defense, and you were a fierce rebounder, and you played alongside Sam Lacey and Jimmy Collins and Charlie Chris and the rest. Wow, what a team. And I personally will never forget it. So it's still warm in my mind. So this mechanism, Facebook, TV, has been able to resurrect a little bit of the memory. But I hear from Aggies everywhere, Chito. They might live in Chicago now, New York, Florida, wherever. But now this invention, Facebook, brought you alive again to the Aggie Nation, which is large. I've heard from many of your friends, and I hope you have had feedback from the Aggie Nation wherever they are, because you've really helped me and my show. I want to hold on. We're going to say bye to a few stations here, and stay there, Chito, and you can think of your response. I'd like to say thank you to ProView Network, and Alden, Steve Davis, and all the great people out there. ProView, you guys are awesome. Gov TV, ooh, all over the place. And Comcast 26, thank you for your help in putting this show on today. And man, we're covering the globe with all these stations. And again, thank you to Tim Baca and the Hydro Bar, Chuck Jackson, Action Jackson Compaction, Rax, the Lumber Company, Richie Tabbitt, Pierre Amistoy at Amistoy Drywall, and Kevin at the canteen feeding the kids around the APS, and Ben Lucero, Indigo Mortgage, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm really happy to have all of you today. So we'll say bye to all of you right now. But we want to hang on to Facebook, Henry T. GameFace Live. And we're going to continue a few minutes here with one of the Aggie all-time greats, who's become a close friend of mine. And I'm proud to say that, the beloved Chito Reyes, number 52 in the program, number 1 in your heart. Chito, a few more minutes if you don't mind.
Sure, fine, anytime.
Hey, can you still play the game?
I don't know. No.
Come on. If we get you to the free throw line with a Chito,
I can shoot a
shots. How many do you hit?
I can shoot a free throw. Now that I can do. I can't do any of the other stuff. But no, I used to take pride in being able to shoot my free throw because, like Coach Henson used to tell us, man, they're giving you something free. Take it. And if you don't take advantage of it, it's on you. But Henry, I stop and think about all the times that you're talking back about this era, all the people in New Mexico, and I always, I get some of through the internet, I see what's going on, like in Albuquerque and Las Cruces and all that stuff, and I kind of keep up, and I know. Oh, by the way, you guys are in the snow and all this. It's out 75 degrees out in LA today, so I wouldn't trade places with you as far as the weather goes out there. but it's all these people are so wonderful, Henry, and all these appointments that you have, all these interviews that you have with all these players, it means a lot to the players too. Not just the players, but individuals that you have on the show, and you do a lot for them too. So
and then don't forget, Chito, to remind us all how great an experience it was to play in the Olympic Games and the friends you had there. And the beloved Lobo, Gabe Nava, was on that team.
Yes.
An Olympian, ladies and gentlemen, Chito Reyes.
Yeah.
Wow, you've done it all, Coach.
Just recently, we all received a recognition from the World Olympic Association. We have an acknowledgement that you're an official Olympian. And a lot of people say, you're an ex-Olympian. No, we're Olympians. And I tell you what, one of the biggest pride that I have is the fact that, yeah, I represented Mexico, but still, you stop and think about it, you're with the world's best. And our friend Gabe Nawa, him and I became really, really good friends. Him and some of the other ball players. And to this day, every Saturday morning, the ball players from the Olympics from back then, they have a Zoom meeting, like a reunion. They're really that close. And I tell you what, it kind of makes you, proud that you're up there with the world's best. But I think most of all, my grandmother was from Chihuahua, Mexico. And my mom and my dad were born here in the States, but they were from Chihuahua. So that kind of allowed, I took a lot of pride in it. And I wanted to play for the province of Chihuahua. And to be able to say that you, I remember the first time we went to go play overseas, I think we were in the Dominican Republic. The first time they gave me a jersey that had Mexico on there. To this day, I remember putting that jersey on and I could feel the goosebumps. Here I am, look at this, in the other end of the world, trying to represent a country. And no matter what country you're from, if you're given that opportunity to experience that, and they think enough of you to put you in that situation to represent them, that's what it's all about. Maybe it's a certification and all the hard work that you put into your craft and your talents. And I think I've been blessed in more than my share that I was given the opportunity to whatever. A lot of people think you played in the Olympics, you played this, you played that. Final Four and the Olympians and this, but it's not because you won a winning ticket. You worked for that. It was work, and it wasn't because we all, got the winning ticket. It was that he just put us there. It was a lot of hard work. And to this, I owe my coaches, teammates, and all of that enabled me to do that, so.
Chito, give me a play, whether it be when the Aggies and Lobos played or in the Final Four or in the Olympic Games. Describe a play that you'll never forget, that you remember driving down the LA freeway even today. Wow, what a smooth play that was. Give me the experience. Describe the play.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was like, well, there's a lot of not any too spectacular plays, but I think one of the most important plays, I think, was when we played the Lobos. And I remember that back then, Stretch Howard and Ron Sanford and Willie Long and Petey were playing against them. And I remember they cornered me and they tried to double team me, and I faked back to our guard, to Jimmy, and they both looked the other way, and I spun around the other way and it came underneath the basket, and I laid it in. And the thing was, is that if they would have caught me, they would have probably slammed it out the court. But I was able to fake them out of there, and I ran like heck to try to get to the basket before they caught up to me. But stuff like that, it's just that, I mean, there's so many plays. It's not just one play, but I think it's just the experience. Running down the ramp at the Snake Pit and UNM was also exciting, because even though they're yelling against you and jeering you and whistling at you and the whole thing, it was out of respect, I guess, that they do that, because later on you run across the same people that hate, that yelled against you. And I ran across a lot of people in Albuquerque. They asked me, "Aren't you Chito Reyes?" And I go, "Yeah." I said, "Man, we used to hate you, man. But let me buy you a beer. Let me buy you soda. Let me do this. We used to hate you, man. But wait, come and give me a hug or whatever." See, that's what it's all about. It's just fun. It's really a blessing.
How many autographs in your career, in your life?
Oh, about a few. I've had a few. But in Las Cruces,
a humble man. Thousands, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
One of these days, we're going to do a broadcast together.
We'll do that.
Don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. We show up at an Aggie game, and Chito and I are describing the game. That's one of my dreams that I hope comes true very soon. And Chito and I will be together doing the game. You talk about passion for the game, creativity, excitement, color. Oh, we'll bring it together. You and I were meant and born to do a broadcast together, Chito.
We're
I'll
on.
make sure it happens. What do you think?
Just say the word already. You're the man who can make it happen. So let's do it whenever you're ready.
Wouldn't it be fun?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That would be awesome.
That'd be a dream come true for me. To sit by one of my heroes, Chito Reyes. Chito, before we go, I mean, you lost Coach Henson recently. His beautiful wife, Mary, came on. You lost Jimmy Collins, and both in heaven. They're playing ball and coaching in heaven right now, I'm sure. But man, you've been a blessed man. When you count your blessings, how long does that take? Because you're a blessed man, brother.
Oh, yes. Above everything else, you were raised to have good faith, Henry. And I remember every time when, I was very fortunate that I was playing with the Olympic team from Mexico and even with the Aggies, wherever we went, especially in Mexico, you travel all these places. And everywhere you go, and those places, they have cathedrals, usually in the plaza or whatever. And I remember I used to walk out of the hotel and before the game, just take 5 minutes to go in there and, and give thanks for allowing me to do that. And not, I wasn't praying to win. It was just a matter of giving me strength and giving my thanks, because who gets an opportunity being born in the ranches of Stallman Farms and Las Cruces, picking pecans, picking cotton, and as a child, and just being out there, and then being able to play in the Final Four, to play in the Olympics, and to be in a different country and experience their cathedrals and stuff like that. And I remember that everywhere I went, Henry, I kind of felt the confidence that kind of all my coaches, especially Coach Jensen, instilled in me. I felt that I was always mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared for whatever challenge was coming at me. My base for whatever I learned and I accomplished during the time was based on what I would learn under Coach Jensen and most of my coaches. So I felt confident. And a lot of it was my faith too, that I knew, okay, things are going to be okay. We're going to do this.
Wow. The legend Chito Reyes. Hopefully one of these days will be an inductee into the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame, because where you've been and what you've done for our state, and one of the greatest players ever on the court in our state, for the 1970 Final Four New Mexico State basketball team. Wow. What memories we have of you, number 52. Hey, do you still own the jersey?
Oh yeah, I got some jerseys. I can guarantee you they don't fit anymore. But I have some, little wardrobe jacket and stuff like that. All I can do is put them out in the closet in plastic, and that's it.
Hey, I wish the Aggies would come with a long sleeve. What do you think?
You know what? At first I didn't know if I liked them or not back then, because wow, this is strange. I've never wore a T-shirt like that. But eventually it grew on you, and everywhere we went, we should get good compliments on that. And that was all Coach Jensen's idea. Coach is the one that instilled that the long sleeve on their jerseys. All due to him. He put that in there.
Wow, and the stripes coming down. And,
yeah.
Oh, sharp looking jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, there's a feud sometimes, an argument, a debate. What fans are more avid? Who's got the wildest fans, the Aggies or the Lobos? Hey, I'm a beloved Lobo fan, and that's one of the screamingest places on earth. But the Aggie fans get under your skin. I mean, they say things down there that like you take a double take. They're rough down there at the Pan Am, Chito.
Yeah, but
that's the roughest fan.
That's what I used to say about the Lobo fans. But it's all evens out, Henry. They're all just avid, emotional fans. And believe me, I heard some really mean stuff out of there. But it's always good. It's all in jest. It's fun. And like I said, you'd be in a situation where they do yell at you. That's cool. Well, you take it anytime. I wouldn't trade places for the world,
Amen. So, and when you played, the Pan Am was packed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you couldn't. Now, I'm sure you remember that up in the Pan American Center, there's seats up towards the rafters, way up there, and you couldn't even sit up there. There was everything was completely, not one ticket was available. And now things are different, but I mean, the teams and the whole situation is different. But as a matter of fact, my sophomore year, it was the first time that the Pan American Open, we played in the first game ever at the Pan American Center. Can you believe that? Yeah. The first game.
Thank you for the memories. Thank you again for being our close friend, not just Henry's friend, but New Mexico's friend. You're always accessible to us. People comment on you all the time. I'm at an intersection one day. Hey, thank you for the Chito Reyes interview, Henry T. I mean, you're a love man to this day. So this is just the beginning. And I'm so happy you're always there for my phone call. As we say bye today, what's your final word?
I just want to say thanks. Once again, I'm always, and I feel indebted. You know, the way the world is right now, we all need love. You know, we all look around, everybody's suffering. But I think giving somebody a hug and letting them know that you care, give them a little bit of warmth and say hello, say hi, how are you, and mean it. You know, trying to find out and listen to what's going on. It's very hard, Henry, to see a lot of these people suffering. And so a little good word to all the people. And like I said, and when somebody gives you a compliment, in turn, be appreciative and, you know, and have your faith and let's pray for each other, you know, and be strong because we're going to get through this, Henry, one way. So my dad always used to tell me, hey, man, it's going to be okay. It'll be okay, Henry. You know, have faith and just love each other. And I can thank the Lord for all the blessings that we have right now. And thank you.
Chito, give us the beautiful message in closing en español, por favor.
No, es que Dios me dio mucho. Dios me dio mucho en mi vida. Y como de corazón, nunca voy a tengo las palabras para expresar mis sentimientos. Y muchas gracias a todos mis aficionados y gracias a Dios. Muchas gracias y bendiciones a todos.
God bless you, Chito. We'll do it again soon. Heads up.
You're on. Let's do this.
Right, man. That's our friend Chito Reyes Forever, number 52 in the program, number 1 in your heart. Amen. Thank you, Jimmy Tran, our producer today, and Alden down at ProView Network. God bless. It's a team effort. And if you need to get a hold of me, hey, by the way, I still need my car fixed. Who can rebuild an engine for Henry T? Who can build my backyard court? I need help. Contact me. 907-4523. I need to build that court so I can get back in shape. And I need my car fixed. It stopped on the freeway the other day. Blown engine. Somebody out there, rebuild my engine. I love my car. I don't want to get rid of it. Help me. Where are you? Please call me. 907-4523. Call me right now. Alden, thank you down at ProView. God bless you. Thank you, Jimmy Tran, Chito Reyes, and thank you to our beloved friend Marty Saiz for his contribution to our show today. And get ready to buy his book. See you later. God bless you all. Call me, 907-4523. Amestoy Drywall, Pierre Amestoy, Rax Lumber Company, Richie Tabbitt, Tim Bucket, the Hydro Bar, Chuck Jackson. Oh, what a good man. Action Jackson Compaction. Let him put that big dumper out in front of your home and fill up all the trash, and they'll come and take it away to the dump. And the canteen that feeds APS, thank you, Kevin. You're absolutely special. That's going to do it today. And Ben Lucero, hey, Ben Lucero from Titletown, USA, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Yeah, Indigo Mortgage. God bless all of you. See you soon, and that'll be next Monday. Ooh, awesome show coming your way. Do not miss it. See you later. Have a great day. I'm Henry T. See you Monday. Take care.